All right, we good. I got one of my favorite partners on the line, people, broadcasters, subscribers. This guy, I'm gonna just call him Michigan. Me and him been going. I've been knowing this guy for years, man. Me and him go back probably damn near 5 years, really. When I first got into IT, me and him used to go at it, about different issues and stuff. And for those of y'all that don't know, the actual link is in the chat room. I just put it in. I'm inviting y'all. See the title. The title is the discussion on Colin Kaepernick and Michael Vick. And I got one of my heavy hitters with me. This guy probably one of the most conscious guys I know. Not in the sense of conscious, like talking about astral projection, melanin in the sun and nothing like that. Although he can't talk on that level, this brother's more so about Black economics. And 99% of the time when we talking on the phone, when I talk to him, that's what we talking about. We talking about Black economic empowerment. This brother's very thorough with his mouthpiece. He understands the game. He's been an elected official. I'm not gonna say where, but he's in the state of Michigan. I'm not gonna say where or what, but he was a county commissioner. And but the funny thing about my homeboy Michigan, man, when I met Michigan, I used to go at him. We used to go at it all the time. And I used to say in the back of my mind, damn, I disagree with the brother on certain instances, but his shit so thorough, his mouthpiece, he got his shit well thought out. He got facts. It ain't got nothing to do with emotion. None of that. What's up, Beasley? So
what's up, homie?
Ain't that, man? I got Michigan on here. You know, all three of us used to go at it all.
Beasley out of California.
Right.
Pass that joint, nigga. Pass that joint.
Man, I'm actually out of my vacation. I like Michigan. He's a smart dude. He live in Benton Harbor. I didn't know y'all knew each other.
Oh, Michigan?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I can't remember. I know him really from Mr. Talk, but I forgot that he would go around. Man, Michigan's a cold dude. He can keep his composure around them crazy ass right wing motherfuckers.
But the thing is, man, me and Michigan, we about to go in on this Colin Kaepernick, Michael Vick shit. Man. Like,
I'm willing to listen. I want to listen. And you want to know when I first heard it, and I hear people talking about it, I'm like, I said, well, what did Michael Vick say? And then I said, what did Michael Vick say? That Michael Vick, that Colin Kaepernick needs to cut his hair and clean up his image. I'm like, that's making a big. I don't even know how that's making big news. I don't even know how that's important.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm like, how is that even significant?
That's where I'm going. But we live in a generation where people in their 20s and teens are making pretty much running the culture right now. But I'm about to go there. But I want to finish it.
No, let me hear what you got. Let me hear what you got to say. I'm like, this just seems like not a story.
Exactly. But the thing is, some of my subscribers on my last video in the comments, I put that video up this morning. About 9 o'clock, it's gotten over 1,100 views. People are going in saying all types of crazy shit about me, talking about
man, welcome to
Mike Vick is cooning. Mike Vick was off code and all that shit. I'm like,
oh man, these young people are a trip.
But that's the thing.
No, they're a trip as far as what they're thinking is cooning, what's acceptable and what's not. And I had to ask a group of them the other day. I said, well, let me ask you this. They're talking about, look, there's miscegenation in my family, right? A lot. And I'm in California, and I'm trying not to trip off the race shit as much as possible. And some of us, there's a lot of Black people in our age group, all right, that don't always look like Black people to get accepted for Black people. They're trying to kick us out the race. They're trying to take our stripes away. When the white folks let you know you're a nigga right away. But I said, who would you prefer representing your interests? Clarence Thomas, who's highly melanated, who does everything against Black folks, or Rachel Dolezal, who's not genetically Black at all, and who's representing for Black folks. At any rate, go ahead, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. This is the thing, man. Like, I made a point yesterday. I'm trying to paint this picture before I let my boy Michigan take off. The thing.
Let me say one last thing.
Congratulations
on going viral, man.
Thanks.
You put that bullshit out and I disagree with you so much, you know, because, and let me say why I disagree with you, and I'm sorry, but I just want to say this. I've been wanting to say it, and I didn't
Please
have a
don't
chance.
start a debate, man. Please
No,
don't
no, no,
start.
no debate, no debate. When you start talking about Jews and Jay-Z, and Jews are mad at him, Jay-Z really works for or is sponsored by Irving Azoff and Live Nation. They are Jews. That's all.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
plenty of Jews that he's making money with.
yeah,
They,
yeah.
they
I
not
agree
all
with
they
that.
not all together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't trying to. The point I was making was on a political move as far as the other people. But we can go into that, man. But
Go
yeah,
ahead,
I had. Well, you
do
don't know Michigan, man. I put a video out, and I'm grateful, man. I got like 17, 1,800 subscribers now, but about a
wow.
week ago, I had 180 subscribers, man.
Doing them
You
long
know,
ass
I
doing
did.
them long ass videos and no, that's amazing, man. I like
Well,
you
yeah,
just
you got to feed off that energy. You know, whatever's hot, whatever energy's out there. Yeah, you feed off of it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
I
happened,
don't
basically.
even push my shit, man, because at the real, on the real, I got a profession. I don't want people linking this shit to me,
Right, right.
and I'm going to work, and the people at work, you got a YouTube channel? What is it? I said, man,
No,
I can't tell you that.
nope. That's
right,
right.
right. Then
Yeah,
you get your
keep
number.
That's
it
what we
separate.
Then you
going in tonight. That's actually what we're getting into tonight about this damn video and about this damn Colin Kaepernick shit. Because we got to understand as black people, and this is what I was saying in the video, we got to understand we don't own this shit. I put the video up at the end with Dr. Claude Anderson talking. He talked about stage one, you got to control your economy. Stage two, you rent or lease politicians. Stage three, which is the stage that people are talking about, is you affect the courts and the politicians and the judiciary system. So that's where he was going. That's what he was talking. That's what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your name, brother? Could you mute your mic just so it won't? I think it might be echoing. But
no,
at any
you,
rate,
he
that's
actually
the
turned
point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to affect change in Michigan, I want you to jump on this subject. If you're
Okay.
going to affect change in the community as a black man or as a black person, then you have to understand the ebb and flow of politics and saying, well, shit, if I'm gonna affect politics, I need to have some money first. So Michigan, if you could hop in there on that subject.
Right.
Yeah, I was as what me and you were talking earlier, and I think to some degree, man, when you talk about a person coming into political consciousness, and particularly black political consciousness, I think you were a little bit uh, before the curve in that because you were an entrepreneur, that kind of gave you an edge on political consciousness. And like I was telling you, as it relates to the average black in America, and you say, where did they develop their political consciousness from? Clearly, they didn't get it from school, the public education system. Clearly, they didn't get it from the church. So basically, well, I would say to some degree they got it from the church, and it's a part of the civil rights movement, and that political consciousness is kind of rooted in protest, uh, and kind of half-ass crying to the crackers and hoping they'll do right by you. And so that's why we would agree to that point. If so, what history? And now we're going to talk about particularly political history, and particularly when you're looking at it from a black perspective. If you systematically uh, give young black children a history of what we've tried politically, clearly they will be farther ahead than where they are now in making statements like that about Colin Kaepernick, that uh, that was not, that was a good thing that he did by, sitting down on the national anthem. Now, that's clearly somebody whose political consciousness is at the baby stages, particularly in America. With all the shit we done been through and all the different approaches we've tried, we should be farther than that. And that includes a Kaepernick, whatever his name is, that includes him. Clearly he hasn't, you know, been how would you say, initiated into, black consciousness politics.
Well,
Because
let me hey, keep talking because
yeah,
I like what you're saying, but let me ask you this: what does that look like? Because to me, it's real simplistic. I'm real simple. I don't care about the spirituality because it's so broad when it comes to calling somebody conscious. But when it comes to what moves the wheels forward for the black for the plight of the black man and woman in this country, then it's to me it's real simple. I use this as a measuring stick. Can it be counted and can it be measured? But you give me your side of it.
yeah. So I would say um, it's twofold. Is you have the theory side of it, and then you have the practical side. I would say the statement you just made about can it be counted and measured is more so on the practical side. That means what experiences have you gotten out of what you've been doing politically, and then you build from that. So most of the people who have a political opinion, and particularly about Colin Kaepernick, if you were to ask them, at what point in your life did you engage in black, politics, or liberation politics, and they probably couldn't give you an answer. So when you say the counting and the measuring, that's more so of an entrepreneur, that's not even necessarily consciousness. And that's the other thing about consciousness. I think consciousness had to be kept into some type of context. I think there's a consciousness that goes along with businessmen. I think there's a consciousness that is a specific type of consciousness in politics. There's a certain type of consciousness, I believe, in relationships. So there's ain't no such thing as no broad ass consciousness that, if a motherfucker conscious in one area, he just conscious in general. So I think that's the first point we talking politics, right? That's what the fuck we talking right now. Him, not standing up for the national anthem. So we're talking about political consciousness.
So Michigan, let's say you Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
You come into your level. He comes into this level of consciousness, gets in the league, he get around this chick. I seen her. She a cold chick, man. She bad, so I understand a woman to do that to you, So she, he got this cold chick with him. She got him talking about black life. So you all of a sudden you get to that point. What would you do differently? What would you think, or would you have done the exact same thing, or what would you do different?
Well, okay. So not knowing, getting a snapshot of the level of his political consciousness by the moves that he made. That's right. That's the experience. Sitting down for the national anthem. All right. So my level of political consciousness is like on a totally different level than him. So for me, it would have been more about how do I use this bread that I'm making for liberation purposes. I would have no problem standing up for the national anthem. No problem taking I even told my son that. I said, you stand up, you don't let these folk know what your political conscience is as it relates to that. If you want to do something for your people, they don't need to know what you're doing. So for me, I certainly would have stood up. But like I said, I'm at a different level of consciousness, political consciousness. So
but let me say this. It sounds almost excuse my French. This is I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay, go for it.
You would sound like, but you Conan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you standing up for the national anthem when they killing black men on the streets. Why wouldn't you stand up for the I know that's a real rudimentary argument, but
I got you.
That's what they would say.
I got you. Okay, so now, but see, again, you got to know who you're dealing with, right? And so you in another man's culture. So again, it depends on how much political history you understand. Like you said, what has been tried in the past. what is the mind state of this white boy as it relates to people trying to rub his culture the wrong way. So it's about strategy. So now that's a young person would say cooning because they don't have no political experience, right? They ain't got no experience. So they would say that's cooning. That's just because they don't know no better. As it relates to who we talking about, Colin Kaepernick, if he understand that he could affect more change with from with the cash that he's making from that his profession versus not standing up for the national anthem. And we got to keep it real. This they fucking culture. The National Football League, that's they shit. They brought you into they shit, right?
Man, I just shot a video. I hadn't even uploaded it, and I said exactly the same thing.
That's
Shout out to
they
my
shit,
partner,
man.
Cedric, man. That's my partner right there, Cedric. That's my homeboy I've been telling you about that I'm working with on the house, man. But,
okay, what's up, bro? Yeah, this they shit, man. Yeah, we fooling ourselves.
So
what's going on, folks?
What's that?
What's up, young set?
Not much, man. Just taking it all in.
This my partner right here. This the dude helped me. He helped me really, get into a lot of country stuff, man. He put me up on Chancellor Williams and Ivan Van So. He put me up on a lot of that.
Oh, okay. This your partner you spoke highly of on the country tip.
Yeah, we be talking all this one that I used to debate with on the radio show. This him, man. This my brother. Real, as you can see, real thorough brother. That's why I got to know. So
I heard you when you said that most would call it cooning, but I mean the people who think like they will refer to it as cooning are the people who can't help us move the culture forward if that's how you see it.
Right.
Because I've never seen, when they say like a wolf in sheep's clothing, I mean, you have to wear the sheep's clothes to disguise that you're a wolf. So I think that's what the brother was saying. I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like when real people who fight, they don't say, hey, look, I'm about to hit you. They just go ahead and hit you. So I agree with the brother. But as far as this subject go, I want to say that in regards to Michael Vick, I can't blame Michael Vick for what he did because he just want to get back in the good graces of white America. And what he did was just like any other Negro. Anytime we have an incident, they use one of us to, say, hey, well, hey, if he agreed, then how are we wrong? You know what I mean? But on the flip side, when Colin seen that the majority of the players in the league wasn't gonna ride with him, I think he should have abandoned this project simply because if we look at what those young brothers did in Missouri, when they all band together and decided that they weren't gonna play, their issue got fixed immediately. When you got one Colin versus, however many players in the league, then his movement it doesn't have the type of momentum and it can't affect change. Therefore, he should have found a more indirect approach, like your guy Judas was referring to make a change more quietly than allow a protest, since we all not rallying together. So that's definitely what I would say as it pertains to Colin.
Let me interject this one thing. Anybody can it seemed like to me the subscribers today were saying that, but he got enough money. I mean, he played in the league. He already got a contract. Good. How much money is enough? And I'm gonna tell you, you know me. I want every damn dollar I can get my hand on.
Hey, you got a real bad echo. I don't know who's on that.
What he
go back up there.
What he has to do is he have to turn the sound off.
Hey,
turn the sound down.
You have to turn the sound down on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that better?
There you go. You have to keep the sound down on YouTube because we're talking through the Hangout.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Go ahead, busy.
No. I haven't given you any attention.
Cedric, you still vibrating. I mean, you still echoing.
You have to.
Just mute again when you want to talk. Just
No. You have to mute the YouTube window. There you go.
Well, I'm on Hangouts.
Just mute your phone until you talk. When you talk, it's clear, but when we talk,
all right, I'm muted.
All right.
Okay.
All right. When I first saw Kaepernick do it, I'm thinking he don't want to play football no more. He's gonna get this 19 million and ride off to the sunset. And if you've been following his career like I have, they didn't use him properly. First off, they let him stop. They stopped letting him run. I know I'm talking football shit, but they weren't utilizing him like what's his face Harbaugh was utilizing him, because he's run for more yards in a football game than any quarterback ever in NFL history. And when they're allowing him to run it over the pass, whatever, he looked sorry, and they found all of his weaknesses. I was thinking he's just doing this and making a statement, and he's stepping out of the league. And he's probably might have been conservative or smart with his money. He's probably has, he has enough money. What he did, come on, is symbolic bullshit. It doesn't do anything to change anything. And he's trying, and it's bringing attention to something, but really the way this country is racially divided, and intentionally racially divided. There's there's the media pushes it because the powers that be want it racially divided.
Hold on, Beasley. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Like I feel where you're coming from. Like if he was gonna get out the league, because surely I said this dude must be about to get out the league if he gonna not stand for the national anthem, right? But then what kind of made me change on that was that this year, see, people don't know this, but when they started OTAs and just a couple of months ago, he made an announcement that he was now standing for the national anthem. Which to me, that threw me all the way for a loop. Then I was like, okay, 1 minute you ain't standing for the national anthem. Now you trying to get a contract. When he went to Seattle, he was in the Seattle training camp. He was talking about he gonna stand for the national anthem when they asked him. So for me, it was really almost like you made a decision. You thought about it. Now I need a job. Let me go ahead and stand for the national anthem.
No. He don't need a job like you or I, or need income. He wants a job. He probably loves the game. If you play football, it's something that's in that you fall in love with. You want to keep playing. So I don't think he needs it.
I would have did it up until about 30 or 36, 37. Then do what the hell you want to do. You don't want to stay and do that.
All sports, people play until they get cut or they don't play anymore. Except there's more people now that are retiring early because of all the problems. It's symbolic bullshit. I don't think it means nothing. I know people that I have clients that I talk to that are white that don't know anything about my ethnicity, and they can't stand him. And I'm like, and I try to, soft shoe it. I'm like, well, doesn't he have a right to express himself about, what's going on? And they can't articulate it because that's just that anger that you get sometimes out of white folks, and they can't articulate it. And really the same type of anger that they had at Obama. They are threatened by somebody speaking up and challenging the status quo. And that's what he's doing. And I guess it's admirable because I have a book right here. Oh, and man. It's funny that you mention it. I'll be brief. And I've read part of it. It's called The $40 Million Slaves by William Roden. And it talks about the rise, fall, and redemption of the black athlete. In fact, I was going to do a YouTube show on it, but I'm too busy involved in fuckery right now. The book's called The $40 Million Slaves because to me, when Donald Sterling did what he did and that got revealed and none of them dudes wanted to stand up or walk out and do anything, I said they truly are $40 million slaves. That here it is, you have all this money and these huge contracts and you are scared.
Hold on, Beasley. Me and Michigan talked about that shit real. We was Michigan. Hey, Michigan. Anyway, we talked about that. Me and Michigan, we talked about that, and we were saying, look, you got this damn billionaire over the barrel. He already was bitching to my he didn't want to sell his team. They done sold his damn team to another Jew, and your ass, it ain't helped. It didn't move people along, like Cedric was just talking.
Man,
Whenever we as black people get people in a situation like that, we need to try to do something that is going to be substantive, something of substance, something that can really help black people. I would have rather Donald Sterling been like, look, man, I'm gonna give y'all $30 million. Y'all go start 25 different credit unions within the black community. That's go ahead, Sid. I know you're about to say something. But
what I wanted to say is, as it relates to what Colin is doing, I think that timing is everything, and I think that he was before his time. Now, when we take a look at what LeBron James is doing, LeBron James is setting himself up to become the first black owner, which I think that is going to be.
He's not going to be the first black owner. The first black owner is Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is part owner, and I don't even think he has
black owner is Robert Johnson.
He owns.
Hey, when Cedric talking, listen to me. When Cedric talking, his mic has an echo, so let him talk, and then he gonna give y'all to talk.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, I apologize, fellas. Well, let me do this then, because I see y'all up on it. I guess I shouldn't say it first. Let me say that he's going to be the guy that's going to start the ripple effect in terms of, once he starts this, I think it's going to have a bigger impact, because I think Jordan was pretty much like 40%, not even more than half. And one thing we know about Jordan is that he doesn't throw his weight around for the black community. You know, he's married a white woman. So I guess I want to use somebody going to affect change in the black community in terms of ownership. And LeBron James has a very big following. And so I feel like once he cool to be a owner, and more of the other athletes in his peer group are going to become owners, which eventually I think LeBron is smart enough to start his own professional league. And then once he start a league, then we can give the brothers who we grew up with, who mamas was on drugs and they had to become a felon just to eat some McDonald's. He's gonna make them eligible to be able to be hired for a football or a basketball team. And I think we have our own 100% in terms of, like, Jews can miss a baseball game. I heard on the radio the other day that some Jew missed a baseball game to observe some Jewish holiday, and nothing was said. But we can't do that. You know what I mean? We can't say anything that affects us or is frowned upon. But once we dollar that means something economically, then how we feel would really and truly matter. And I just feel like LeBron James is the front runner for that torch. Colin tried, but you know, it just wasn't enough. I think LeBron James gonna make it happen. That's all I wanted to say.
What are you basing that off of? Because I feel like you have like a lot of black people.
This is a friend of mine. This is they call him Pro Black Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris. Appreciate it, Beasley. Yeah, me and Beasley, we both we be in our own little sector, you know, talking shit. But I came on here because he recommended. He said you brothers are talking about some serious issues, and I wanted to present this whole thing that you basically made LeBron James Jesus Christ, and I'm saying, what is that based off of? Hold on, let me finish. What is that based off of? Because he did nothing when Tamir Rice, a child in Cleveland, his hometown or area, he got his chest blown into two, and he actually had to change his parenting because of that incident. His kids can no longer play with water guns and shit like that. He didn't respond properly to the Clippers ownership debacle. I feel like he's moved an inch further than Michael Jordan, but beating Michael Jordan isn't saying much as far as community activism. You know, I haven't seen.
I want to ask. Dang, my boy just left, but I want to ask this. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Activism is one thing, like speaking up and saying stuff in the media. That's cool. What Cedric is talking about is legacy. He's talking about
economics.
He's not talking about. Cedric is not talking about
talking about real power, real
yeah, he's
power.
talking about money, shit that gonna last. What's up, franchise? He's
money,
talking about
What's
stuff
going on?
that he's talking about stuff that's gonna last financially. Like it's one thing when Donald Sterling does his thing to say, "Hey, I don't, Donald Sterling needs to leave." That's not, which he did make a statement. It's another thing to say, Donald Sterling, I really don't care if you own the team, but you need to cut a check for black people to start owning some banks and businesses. Help us start some black credit unions. Give us $30 million, and they ain't got nothing else to say about you, and I will co-sign you owning the team. See, that's something that will affect us 50, 60 years from now.
Yeah, but it seems like you guys
just do some activism. And somebody might show a video on SportsCenter 20 years from now. Oh yeah, LeBron spoke up and said this. It don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean a damn thing.
But this is what I'm saying. You guys are basing this whole thing that he's gonna kick in the doors of black ownership, and I'm saying based off of what? Because sure.
He said he's gonna buy a team once he retire. I mean, to me,
that's hoping that white people let him do that.
Hold on. Hold on. A team. Here is the Clippers. They never won shit. Okay, the second team in Los Angeles got driven all the way up to $2 billion. Okay, if you guys don't understand what happened there, or not, maybe I shouldn't say that. You guys might not see it the way I see it. First, let me address this shit with you guys talking about Jews all the time. It's Jews that did Donald Sterling in. Harvey Levin at TMZ is a Jew. Okay. Harvey Levin leaked the story. It's Adam Silver, who's the head of the NBA, is a Jew. You guys act like they're all working in collusion. They're not working in collusion. It's business. It's America, and everybody's after it. So you had Jews that actually did him in. Adam Silver stood firm to did him in, and is actually they might have been in collusion and split some of the pie later to drive the price up. I don't know what the hell happened, but I know goddamn well the Clippers ain't worth $2 billion. As far as LeBron James, I mean, you can't expect too much from athletes. And I think you can't. And I know goddamn well, and I'm an outspoken person, and any of you know me, but I ain't risking mine and risking my position behind some fundamental bullshit. Okay? I'm not. And that's what everyone else thinks. People is out for themselves.
But when do we stop being out for ourselves and start being out for our people? It's time out for. It's really time out for self. At some point,
You know what? I get what you're saying. I'm telling you.
But at some point, we need to begin to make sacrifice.
You know what?
And we need to take a stance.
You know what, brother? I wish it were that way, but it's not that way.
Right. You say it's not that way, but it got to begin with somebody. It's got to begin at some point where people.
That's what I'm saying. Hey guys, listen. Kaepernick, I haven't heard no one brought this up, but he still is holding by his pledge and donated $1 million to his organizations that he said he was going to donate to. I haven't seen no other athlete ever do that.
They might be doing it. They might. Shaquille O'Neal. Hold on, Shaquille O'Neal.
Wait. Let me finish saying something. And it's not just to the St. Jude's Children's of Cancer or the March of Dimes. These charities that he's donated to is going to Asada's Daughters, which is a grassroots organization for Black women located in the city of Chicago. America's Friends Service Committee. He's donated over $25,000 to them. Another grassroots leadership group. So he's putting his money where his mouth is, and he's not afraid to go down with the shit, regardless if people's going to support him or not. Okay. And I feel like that's the true leader. Hold on. And he's not selling out for $1.
Hold on. All right, hold on, man. Like, that's good. But wouldn't it have been great if we had another $40 million contract to do it again for another 20 years on top of that?
See, I hear what you're saying. You're definitely right. But here's the thing. Colin his job is not really to get us the whole way. A lot of the times you got to see.
No, 40 million won't get us the whole way. But what I'm saying is I'm not finna make a decision about this. That's almost like me saying I'm going to get mad at my boss at work because I can't wear a dashiki, or I'm gonna get mad at my boss because the whole thing
exactly
his haircut. Like, I'm in corporate America, right? It's a lot of bullshit I have to go through in corporate America that I have to deal with.
Oh Lord,
going into there because I'm a Black man It's a lot of things that I have to do. I have to adhere because you know what? I don't own the company.
That's what I'm getting.
But here's the point.
I'm not. Hold on. Let me finish. The customer that buys that NFL ticket, 50% of those people didn't appreciate that. Ticket sales went down last year. Ratings went down last year. Colin Kaepernick. Hold on. I'm not saying he was the reason, but people perceived him as the reason. Whether or not he was is of little consequence. Perception is reality. So pretty much, I don't think I would have done that. I would have waited till it was my done last year in the NFL, then I wouldn't have cared.
I'm gonna say this one thing.
That makes you a coward.
I'm not gonna be long. I'm gonna say this one thing, and this was off of King Henry when the Haitians was going for revolution. He was one of the first guys to burn down his mansion. He wasn't a slave. He was a wealthy guy down there, and his name is King Henry. He was one of the first guys to burn his palace to join the revolution because he stated this: whatever that you won't be willing to give up, they're going to turn around and use it to enslave you. So if you feel that you can't give up this, that same thing that you don't want to give up is going to be used to keep you in line, to keep you in check. And I'm not saying.
But hey, let me chime in there. Hey, let me chime in there, Alabama.
I'm not saying don't go to work and don't have to do what you got to do, because we all got to provide for our family. And there's not a unified front where some of the brothers feel like I wouldn't step out on my own like that because the lack of support. And so we can kind of get unified and put all of this together where there's multiple Kaepernicks and we can have one joke. Then I can say that.
No, you hitting them right on the head. Because
see, let me throw something in there.
But he will go down in history for sure. Even when his money's all spent, they're gonna be talking about Kaepernick.
And that's all they're gonna do is talk.
Hey, is my mic open, Alabama?
Hey, it seems like y'all being from the South, y'all scared.
Who's scared?
Don't start that.
Man. It's about time somebody said it.
Yeah, y'all country boys scared as fuck.
Wait.
No. The thing is, man.
Hold on, Bill. Let me jump in.
Let me say something, man. That you know what we got to do, man. What's the end goal and shit? You know, I hear the brother saying, you got to stand for something. But what you got to understand, man, is you're in another man's culture. So the question is, what is the end goal of this liberation, right? Okay, he said he ain't gonna stand until they stop killing blacks in the street. But the motherfucking police that's in your community, you let them in there. That's stupid as fuck. The police are hired by the city council. The city council is hired by the electorate. Now, in these communities where you are the majority electorate, what is a cracker doing on the police force? Hold on, man. What is a cracker doing on the police force anyway?
Keep you in line.
See, no. You missed my point. If you're the majority in the municipality,
control is what he's saying. It's up to us as a people to start taking control of our city.
Right. So for Colin Kaepernick to say until they stop, the places where blacks are getting shot at, in most of the places, blacks are the majority. What is those crackers doing on the police force? That should be the question.
Well, here's a great example.
We gotta stop this victim blaming.
In Jackson, Mississippi, I go to pay my mother's property taxes. When I walk in the courthouse in a city that's 85% predominantly black, there is nothing but Caucasian people that's in this office. Why are these people in these jobs? Why are there no black people in power? At some point, we need to take a stand and start making that sacrifice and say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to run for this. And we need to get out and hit these communities ourselves and make a change.
Franchise, I want to say one thing. This brother said we in the South scared. Now, I want him to
being scared.
Come on, man. Don't deal with that shit. That's bullshit.
Chime in on that.
That's bullshit.
Hold on. I want to hear this. Please explain that.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about the all black. I'm talking about the brothers here on this panel. Y'all talking that scary shit. Now, I'm surprised because you guys deal with a different brand of racism, and it seems like that type of racism has.
Hold on.
You want me to explain, and then you break into it. You interrupt, and let me finish my thought, and then you can respond. But what I'm saying is, this whole I just would have waited until I got old when it didn't matter. That's cowardice. This whole
nobody said that, brother. Come on now. Don't say nothing that nobody say.
He said that. Exactly. He said that. He said he was going to wait until he got old when it didn't matter, and that's when he would have stood up or made some type of move. So he would have watched black people suffer that whole time and waited until he was past to his prime and where he actually had influence to actually do something. So he was going to wait till his
No, bro. He said wait till you would have got another 19 million so you could have did more. Is what he said. You probably missed that.
I'm quoting him directly.
I want to ask you one question, brother. Name one dude that not standing up for the national anthem saved his life.
Did shit, right?
Oh, see, this is what y'all doing. Another thing.
Name it.
Okay, let me. You're asking a question that you know that this ain't happened. But what I'm saying is, your whole thing is, well, if it don't spark a whole entire revolution, it ain't worth it. And I'm saying that.
No, didn't nobody say that, bro.
Well, you keep interrupting me. Is this how this works? Because let me get a whole thought off, and then y'all can respond off of my thought. But every time I get started, y'all breaking it up. Just because I don't agree with y'all.
You insult me telling me I'm saying some scary shit. You know damn well I ain't finna get away with telling me that shit.
Well, first off,
I didn't say you were scary. I said the way you were talking.
Hey, let the brother finish what he's saying and then rebuttal. We can all sing together, but we can't communicate, and that's the problem in the black community. Nobody wants to stop and listen and hear the other side. At least hear what the brother got to say, and then rebuttal.
He can talk. Go ahead. It's all men on the line. So if egos get in the way, it's nothing, man. Just let them talk.
All right, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay. Again, the whole thing was, your whole thing of, like you said, when you said you would have waited till the end of your career, and people who actually are criticizing Kaepernick and saying that because there has been no jihad against racism because of it, that it was a waste. And I think that that's ridiculous. And then I heard, before I actually clicked the link, someone was saying that it wasn't enough because he didn't rally enough people behind him as far as player support, that it was a bad idea. And I'm saying that Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all those people, it started with them. They did what they did and people followed them after. So the fact that he didn't have a horde of Negroes backing him up doesn't mean what he did was insignificant or ridiculous or stupid.
Okay,
you guys are talking about. This is my last sentence, and then I pass it back to you. Okay. This whole thing of waiting and trying to throw metrics at exactly what Kaepernick did is this thought, speech, and actions of racist whites. Because now we're looking at him actually saying something, because that was his choice. Say nothing, get paid, or put his neck on the line. And we should look at him as somebody that we should applaud his courage.
Hey, Alabama, let me toss up.
Let me. Hey, I mean, but his whole where he coming from was sparked off when he first jumped in off what I said. So let me respond. Since you brought up Martin Luther King said that he realized that he had walked his people into a burning building, something like that. I might not be quoting it right. So what Martin Luther King
burning building.
Right. So what he realized is that he didn't take enough time to really think about what he was trying to do, how he took us from being independent to making us want to be able to be fed by white people. So what me and Bill was talking about,
bro. Don't jump in. Hold on, bro.
So what Bill was talking about was us really sitting down thinking about a long-term strategy that really affects something instead of something that you can just get a pat on the back or something you can just say, well, at least he tried, but no positive change had came out. Like I had brought up LeBron James, bro. If he owns a team with the magnitude of popularity and influence he have, he's going to affect change in the black community that we're going to have other owners, and which may lead to a bigger economic empowerment.
But hey, Alabama, let me build right off of that, Alabama, very quick. It ain't gonna take but a second. Remember earlier when we was talking, we had talked about we really have no systematic way of maturing our political consciousness within this European culture. Now watch this.
Yes.
Watch this. The brother, I think you call him Franchise. Have you ever heard of a book called Black Power by Hamilton and Stokely Carmichael?
Not offhand.
Okay, I'm gonna just make a point. And it's not a shot at you. Now, what these brothers did was they documented throughout their struggle every political move that they made and the results that they got from making those moves, right? Now, that should be required reading for all blacks as you move into your political consciousness. Guess what that does? That tells you what shit not to try,
Exactly.
what shit to add on to, what shit that went well for them, the shit that didn't go well,
Exactly.
the shit that you should change. You see
Yep.
what I'm saying? So we ain't study spinning our wheels trying this same old bullshit that they've already done 60 years ago.
Exactly.
Protesting within this motherfucker's culture, and that's all immature shit at this level, bruh.
Exactly.
We supposed to
Agreed.
be 50 years beyond that shit.
Agreed. I can't debate that one bit.
Yeah, but that's not what we're debating. I mean, he did something. So whatever we're not doing, what he didn't harm anything. So how can he be looked at? How can he be looked at? Because you guys actually, really don't appreciate or don't applaud what he did, and I feel like when it comes to that argument, looking at Kaepernick,
see, I think that's where you went off at. Yeah.
Hold on, brother. You projecting something on me. I never once said that this brother, what he did. First of all, he's right in what he's saying. They shouldn't be killing people on camera or off camera. They shouldn't be beaten. It shouldn't be a jail, school to jail pipeline. It's a lot of that stuff that he was protesting about is evil. It is wrong. We all agree. I don't think there's nobody on this thing right here that disagrees with that principle. I just said strategy. I agree with what Michigan was saying. You projected all this stuff about I'm scared and all that. That's nothing could be further from the truth. I'm trying
and you know what?
That's gonna last.
And you know why people that
couple of memes in the black community. This guy's conscious. So what?
Yeah.
But listen, I said that you were scared. I gave a concrete example when you're saying that had you been in that position, you would have waited, watched black people suffer until you were on your way out the door.
See, that's where you misconstrued. I never said watch black people suffer.
Right. So you thought that you added that.
It is implied when you say that you were going to wait.
I have to mute you. Let me finish my point. The point I'm trying to make is this. I didn't say sit and do nothing. You added that shit to try to insult me. I never once said sit and do nothing. I said do what you're doing under the radar, nobody knows, but still be involved in the struggle. Still help people start business. Still give all the money to the organizations that you're saying. The shit that he's doing right now. I said do that. Okay. That's all I said. Well, so I didn't say
you didn't say that.
Be a coward. That's what you heard.
See, when you gotta get Caesar what Caesar and God was God. You gotta walk the thin line. I understand where you coming from, Bill, in the aspect that I'm in corporate America along with Bill. And I understand the thin line that you have to walk. You gotta dress a certain way, you gotta talk a certain way, because you're bound to get this income from this person. This is what you got to do. So there's rules that you gotta obey. The same way as if you work at Burger King. Burger King say you got to wear this uniform in order to work here. The same thing that Kaepernick could have done and still spoke out. He could have took a different path. Instead, he chose the extreme. Is that bad? Is that good? No, it's a great thing because it sparked interest and eyesight as to what's going on. The flip side of that is he should have found a thin line, because although you sparked interest, if you're that adamant about it, how much more could you have done if you had strategized and said, hey, I can get another contract, I can do this, I can do that, and I can make an impact, and hopefully we can start to grow as a people, or maybe we can get a snowball effect going. That's where Bill's coming from. Not do nothing, sit in the background, hold on, strategize, still do what you do, but keep yourself in line so that you can get this money, so that you can have the finances to make a difference when that time arises.
All right, so hey, let me ask the brother franchise a question. So just the issue that Kaepernick was dealing with, police shooting, in your opinion, in your political understanding, what's the quickest route to remedy that particular issue? I want your opinion. What's the quickest route to remedy that?
You mean the police issue itself? Let me make sure you understand. I'm understanding what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That comes for the people in the community. It's not a nationwide thing. It takes the people in that community to unite, to come up with the plan and say XYZ or ABC. This is what we're gonna do. there comes a point where you have to start policing the community. I'm not against, me personally, I believe in what the Black Panthers did in the early 70s. Hey, if we got to police our own communities, then we police our communities. And if that means we got to police the police, then okay, that's what we need to do if it's done in decency and order. That does not mean take things to the extreme and start shooting at police. That means that, okay, we just like you out and about and you pulling people over. Every time you pull somebody over, there's somebody there with a camera. There needs to be a neighborhood watch. And then secondly, we need to start grabbing hold of our communities. We need to grab hold of our youngsters. As older men, it's time now that we feed back into the community. Let's open up something. Let's find something. Let's do something. Give back and start giving these kids a hope. Because the main thing that's causing all these issues is, if you pay close attention, it's in impoverished cities where Black people have no hope, no dreams, no nothing. And they see no way out. So what do you resort to? I gotta survive. I gotta eat. So if it means selling dope, robbing, whatever it is that I need to do to survive, then that's what's gonna be done. So until you can bring a hope or a replacement in, it's far-fetched to think that kneeling is gonna change it. Is it gonna spark interest? Yes. But what should have been done is start moving into those predominantly Black cities. And what he could have done is, personally, if I was in his situation, I would have did what Carmelo said. Hey, it's time we take a stand. Let's pool our money together. It's more than enough Black superstars alone in the NBA and the NFL that they got enough money. Why is it now? Great example about what I mean. And I hate to be long-winded, but why is it we got all these superstars with all this money? You got Michael Jordan. You got a shoe factory. But what about the plastic factory that could have been opened in the west side of Chicago that you could have opened up? Why not y'all pooling y'all money together if you have any sense of being Black?
Yeah, they getting that check. And plus, a lot of those guys, all they know is play ball. So when their balling career is over, they try to find another thing to do, whether if it's get on ESPN and do some talk show so they can try to keep that check coming in. But besides that, not too many guys got other skills down the field or throwing the ball in a hoop. It's going to take other builders to build that. I can't sit here and put everything on those guys back, on the celebrities, because they're not going to put it back.
I do put it on their backs, because you rise to a level where you could have financially, you've educated yourself. And me personally, I come from nothing. And I don't make a whole lot, but I make enough where I've been able to educate myself a lot wiser as to money. And I'm not the smartest, or should I say I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So if I can see it, you being that you having more, it is the responsibility of the superstars to educate and to educate the community, because people looking up to you.
But you got to keep in mind,
he's a great example. Remember, he made his money.
Franchise, hold on, Lonnie. This is the thing, though. Like the brother was saying, I don't think it's their thing. I'm not one of the guys that get mad at celebrities. Like Jay-Z needs to do this, LeBron needs to do that. Shit myself, I don't really get into that. And also, looking at
right,
they're really sheltered from reality. They get millions of dollars a year. They're not really. You playing for the game. These damn NBA contracts are ridiculous right now. So these guys are getting 16 million as role players, averaging 8 points. So you got a guy getting $16 million. He's not. He don't feel like he have to go learn anything until he's 29, 30. Then he gonna start thinking of getting old and he start trying to make some investments. That's what they do.
Then they come to you, sit at the table with you, and be like, "Listen, Mr. Jones, you had a great career. This is how we're gonna help with your salary, and we're gonna do this and that." You know how many players get robbed? Most of those guys, when they get that money for those contracts, they don't get all that money. Their agent does. They're getting robbed left and right. Jay-Z had to step in and create Rock Sports just because he got tired of seeing athletes getting robbed. So you see the kind of move he made to come in as I guess a business owner, to give us an opportunity to own your own masters as an artist and also to negotiate on your contract as an athlete. And he got one of the guys from New York to go to Seattle, and it was one of the biggest deals ever made. Can't put it all on their back. They just know how to play football or hit a ball out the park. but those guys aren't always the sharpest tool in the shed. You're probably more sharper than a lot of those guys. And I know a lot of players personally. Some of them, the type of intelligence that they have, but most of them, no. They've been devoting their whole life just to do this, to catch this ball and run over here.
And guess what? You talking to one. You're talking to somebody. That was my dream. I'm 7 foot. I'm older now, but that was what I did. But at the same sense, when you become educated and you begin to see the plight, and when you start seeing what's going on, at some point there has to be some education.
Well, but I think what you're doing in a case like that, bro, is that you moved into political consciousness at a different level than what they have. You can't assume that their experiences move them into the same level of political consciousness that you have right now. And so that's why it goes back to, and like the brother was just saying, even with white billionaires, what they do is they take their money and they fund political movements. So we shouldn't expect that when we get a few blacks that are billionaires that they should be on top of the political game. But what they should do, they should be able to go into the black community and fund those organizations and movements that's for the upliftment of the people and put the funds behind it.
Giving them a pass. I think that's my personal opinion. I think you're giving them a pass because
but let me say, bro. Even if let's just use science, brother. Let's just use science, bro.
Let me chime in on
everybody's political consciousness does not develop at the same level because you can see. All right, so
chime in on what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying that.
Well, what's the pass I'm giving them first? You got to explain that first. Explain the pass I'm giving them specifically.
Okay. You're saying it's okay because you develop at a different rate. You do this. You do things at a different rate. But
no, I didn't say things. I didn't say things. I said their political consciousness may not have developed at the same level as yours based off of your experiences. So you can't expect them to act like you acted based off your experiences. That's what I said specifically.
Okay. But my thing is, being black, the one thing that you know in America, when you're black, whether it's a job, whether it's sweeping the street, whether it's fixing a computer, whether it's pushing a basketball, whether it's throwing a football, whatever it is, you know you have to be way better than your white counterpart. So when you start to come into money, and you start to make moves, at what point do you not begin to think about your culture? Why? Because you've been brainwashed along the way to accept this culture. At some point, we got to start educating our people. And when they get to that level, we need to keep them in touch. And people need to start speaking up and saying, it is your responsibility.
Franchise, let me say this, man. I know a brother, I ain't gonna say his name. He got signed in the NBA, right? This dude tried to pay bills for half of his hood. He had to pay. I mean, this dude. I know dudes he was paying condos for grown men. Brothers, man. Whenever a brother make it in the league or NFL, NBA, he got so much stuff he got to deal with, man. Like, then on top of that, you trying to tell him he got to be conscious for the community. He got to come. That's a lot of weight.
That's not what I'm referring to, Bill.
That's a lot of weight on one person, and these rappers and these entertainers feel like that. I don't do that. I go out to help as many brothers I can to help them get into sales force, to help brothers in real estate. I try to give videos. I try to get them out here personally, trying to do things on the back end and do whatever I can to help people myself so I can feel good about myself. That's it.
Okay,
that's
so
all
why is it then, Bill? Let me ask you this question. Why is it when you sit back, I don't know how many of you brothers do this, but I like to go out and sit back and watch. And just watch society and watch people. How is it that we are the only ethnic group in this country that has no means of camaraderie? How is that? Why? Because we want to keep saying it's too much or this or that. When you look at Mexicans, no matter what, when you go look through their community looks nice. They support one another. If they get a business, they get a nice turnout from their people. When they're trying to do community activism, they get a great turnout. Chinese, every other ethnic group in this country has a place that they can call their own. You got Chinatown.
Franchise, do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, the answer is this, Franchise. I'm gonna take a woman and I'm gonna train her in the basement or rape her and beat her for 4 years. Then I'm gonna let her out and I'm gonna tell her, why aren't you normal? Why aren't you like everybody else? That's what's going on with black people.
And that's my point. That's what I'm saying. At some point, when do we start to re-educate ourselves and we begin with those that's in power? To try to start reaching.
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't. I don't think you can begin.
Let me tell you why.
I don't think you can begin with those in power. You gotta. If you're talking about systematic, brother, you gotta begin with you gotta begin by educating your own children.
Let me tell
this
you.
is starting to sound like hypocrisy right now.
If you want to have, if you want your children to have a certain type of political consciousness, brother, you got to give it to them. You can't run the motherfuckers. You can't run the motherfuckers through the public education system where 90% of the teachers are white women, and then when they get older, they ain't got no political conscience. Then you say, what's wrong with them?
That's why. Now y'all getting to where I'm going. Now you're seeing where I'm saying.
Because we starting to sound like hypocrites because we just got done talking about why don't the athletes do this, and because they should be responsible, they're making this money, and then you got a guy like Kaepernick who takes a stand and then does make the money and puts his money where his mouth is, and then we're like, yeah, I don't think he should have did that.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick.
It's starting to sound like hypocrisy right now. So we can't have both sides and not choose one. We can make them line up.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I'm confused. So
Let me
you're
ask
saying
you a question right quick. How black is Kaepernick? No. And let's talk about what black. No, but listen. Let me speak. I've been quiet for a long time, and y'all know I know
he mixed.
Okay. Well, hold on. No.
Answer the question.
Hold on. Only puppies and drinks are mixed. Okay.
Let me answer the question.
Let me say something quick. Okay, real quick.
You just asked me a question.
I didn't ask you a question. I asked you a rhetorical question.
How black is Kaepernick?
No. I asked you a rhetorical question.
Ask a rhetorical question so you can say something. Let me answer your question. I don't think it matters. If the guy is light-skinned black, we should get out of that whole color thing. We should look at ideology.
I don't think he was going there. Yeah, I don't think he was going there.
No, he was just lightening the issue.
Right.
You don't even know what I was saying. Y'all don't know what I was saying because I didn't get a chance to say
it. Let Beasley finish. Go ahead.
Real quick. Kaepernick is biracial. Okay? You don't know who the fuck his black father is. I don't think, from what I know. And I remember following the story. And he don't want to have shit to do with his white mother. Right? Because now she's popped out on the scene after he becomes a star quarterback when the 49ers were going good. He was going to the Super Bowl. Okay. He was raised by white people in a white town somewhere in Central California. Okay. I guess maybe he became kind of conscious about his blackness when he became a Catholic.
Hey, brother, can you tell me what's this really got to do with anything, though, for real? Than what you're saying.
It has everything.
His color, his biracial
chance to speak, man.
It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it. Because look at the people that are standing up and that are making stands. It's Jesse Williams. It's Colin Kaepernick. And you have what is black? Is black a consciousness? Because we're all not the same. We're all not the same.
Man,
come on, Brown. You know about Carlos, Octoon, Quadroon. You know the
right.
Oh well,
listen. I think y'all been breaking it down a little too much. First and foremost, you got to look at this one thing. If you take a black couple, they can create any shade of human being in this world. First and foremost, and that includes albino. Second thing you got to look at is that we're not dealing no longer with a skin colored battle, because you could be as dark as Cole and still be a racist. You could still be a racist person and be as light as Colin Kaepernick and still support the culture. What I'm getting at is this: we're not fighting a color fight. This is an ideology.
No, I agree with you. And I guess I was taking it somewhere else.
I wanted him to explain about it. He said something was all for hypocritical. I just wanted to explain.
Yeah. Right.
Say that again.
What's the hypocritical point, bro?
You said we're being hypocritical.
Because we just was in the whole conversation about be more responsible and accountable with the type of money that they're making. They should be able to stand for the culture. And then I'm like, okay, that sounds about right. But then Colin Kaepernick.
Wait. That wasn't you talking about. Talking about Lunny, my homeboy right there next to you. He was the one saying that. I was saying,
let's avoid being hypocritical because it almost got there. We just got done saying athletes should do this and that, and then Kaepernick does it, and then some people are just saying like, I don't know.
I didn't say that. I said athletes. You can't put all that on one athlete. What you
think? I didn't put. I say, guys, let's stop from being hypocritical. I said, let's slow down before we start sounding hypocritical. I didn't put no names because I didn't want to direct nobody.
Okay. No,
it sounded like it
almost. You make a good point.
I think. I have a question. At what point does all these athletes and you're saying that? Well, in a sense, you're saying that it's a lot to put on them. Okay, but
facts.
If you taking all these athletes and put their money together and they combine and say, let's open up and make an impact. I'm just gonna use Detroit for an example. Jobless state, black people out here struggling. Why we couldn't open up a factory as a whole, as a group? Just take 10 of them out the NBA and say, how come black people have not come together in that sense?
Okay, let me answer that for you, bro. See, I think, and again, it goes back to the young brother's point. All right, what has to happen is you have to marry conscious entrepreneurs who have business plans to open up factories and banks and shit with those investors.
No matter
exactly.
what
those guys.
No matter what they.
That's right. Like. So wait, hold on. So Colin Kaepernick may not know nothing about a fucking franchise, right? Or opening up a bank, or opening up a school.
25, 26 years old.
But there's supposed to be organizations within the black community that's what their mission is. Now, what you're supposed to do is marry that mission of that organization with those potential funders. It's not the funders' responsibility to put the infrastructure together. They're not entrepreneurs, man.
Right, and I agree with that. But I'm saying, at what point do we begin to push that as a people and start taking the funds that we have, the availability? We got it. There's money in the black community.
But franchise.
Black people support this country.
Dr. Claude Anderson put it best. We could talk about buying power. That's almost like talking about a drug addict who's addicted to drugs. Like at the end of the day, unless it's aggregated, it's meaningless. Yeah. I hear people talking about buying power. Buying power is just adding up all the shit we consume. That at the end of the day, you got to get us to stop consuming what we consume and aggregate it in one place. That shit is like trying to tell a dude to move an object with his mind. So, like
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench. I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this shit. This is the franchise. Let me tell you what these crackers gonna do, and let me tell you that what the history showed that they would do.
I think you're getting into what I was about to say.
Even if niggas reach the ultimate level of black power consciousness and they begin to pool their resources, what are you gonna do if crackers say, "Okay, we're not using money anymore. We're using cat shit"? You see what I'm saying, man? You see what I'm saying? So you know what we're gonna have to realize, man. What's the end goal, man? What's the end goal?
I'm gonna use one of your numbers on this one.
What's the end goal?
I'm gonna use one of your numbers. If they start using cash shit, then hey, we just need to establish ties in Africa. Like we talked about before.
He's right about that. About that.
Start breeding cats. I mean, I don't know.
But ain't no laughing matter, brother. We definitely at war here. This is an ugly situation. If they start doing
it's not a laughing matter, but what Michigan said makes sense. It's the truth. Yeah, I mean, and it's sad. And it's sad.
Hold on, let me make a point. 1 second.
Let you make a point, and I'm gonna go right after you.
Okay, no problem. Like this is the thing. Like it's one thing to talk about fiat currency, and I agree. They can switch that shit. They can cut it off at any time. I had a subscriber type that this morning. But when you start talking about real tangible assets, that's when you talk about real power.
Right.
Like that shit that will change through no generation. Like generation through generation, if you own the diamond mines in South Africa, you will always be powerful.
Right.
So therein, when black people need to start moving towards real tangible assets, which is what I was talking about from if it can be measured or counted, that was what I was saying. It's still the same, whether it's the fiat currency to be dipped into buying real resources. And that's what I was just talking about. But
That's
go ahead.
No, that's a great point. What I was going into is two things. Let's say you take all the players in the league, right? I don't really know the facts on it, but I bet you this. You might do the research, it might prove me wrong, but I'm about 90% sure if you take all the salaries of the players in the league, it won't be more than two of the owners. I promise you that. I'm about 90% sure if you take all the salaries of the players and you take the salary the owners make, the two of them, it won't equate.
No, because the team, I think their salary cap. What's the salary cap for? Like 110? I think it's 99. Some low score. It's only like 99.
So what was your point, bro? Go ahead and finish the point out.
The point is that when you see that the fuel engine, no matter where you go, name something that we fuel the engine. If people are coming in, they selling jerseys. They're not buying Cavalier jerseys. They're buying LeBron jerseys. They're not buying Golden State jerseys because they look nice. They're buying Curry jerseys. So, and the top export of America is athletes. And it's black folks, entertainers going on tour overseas, athletes playing in the European League. So we are we're still the cash crop. That's what we still are. We haven't figured out that we are the money. Start seeing that we are the money.
But why?
Once we see that we are the
why are they mad at LeVar Ball for trying to create his own brand and make his own shit? See, I love LeVar.
He's overcharging them, and he knows that.
Tell your secret bill. Ain't nobody mad. That's the key.
No, ain't nobody really mad. Yeah.
That's the key.
Topic. I'm not really gonna try to veer off LeVar Ball. I don't know too much about that guy. I know he's talking a lot of stuff, and he ain't played a game yet. But I'm gonna stay focused on what I was saying. So we are the capital. So once we understand that we are the capital since way back then, and still now we're the capital, we can see that we're still under the same system. Come back to the whole community in Detroit and the other inner cities, right? So we have all seen the studies where they say we use about $2 billion spending on Jordans. We don't have a shoe factory. Another 200 million on liquor and alcohol. So one of the things we might start to look at is why don't we start selling our own selves liquor and then start slowly dying out from liquor, slowly dying out, because Jay-Z just launched an album called the 444. And one of the things he said is a type of mentality I hear from a lot of people who are foreigners. He's like, why would I sit here and drink whatever? He said, why would I drink, I forgot the name when Puffs got Ciroc.
And you want to know something interesting there? That both Jay-Z and Puffy, both Jay, he ain't supporting his brother. They both work for larger companies because, like what you were saying, the owners have so much money, they can buy out, or they can even dudes with millions of dollars. Some $40 million slaves.
But who's selling the product?
Well, I realize, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think you're 100% right. But
brother, I'm telling you, we got the power in our hands. Now, here's the strategy. I'm
what you said makes complete sense. But here it is. You have a situation. Jay-Z is seen as this independent mogul that made himself from nothing. That's part of it. Jay-Z, just like Magic Johnson, just like Puffy, lend their name to that's marketable in the black community and other communities. They lend their name and they're controlled, owned. They are $40 million slaves. Let me finish.
Strategy.
Yeah, let's All right. Yeah, because I think Beasley, the point is well taken. I don't think nobody on the phone disagrees with that. So we're still moving by strategy. So I mean that's a given. What you're saying is a given.
I don't have any solutions. So let me stop.
I'm focused on the strategy.
I'm just trying to keep living.
You can't get mad at a brother for leasing his name. If somebody's like, hey, Prince G, I'm gonna give you 200 million just to use your name and put it on a shoe.
That's
I'm
what you
signing
call.
right
Hold
there
on,
on the
no. That's what you call selling out.
No,
No,
that's not called selling out. I'm gonna tell you what selling out is. Selling out is this. Selling out is when, let's say you, Beasley comes out to me and he's like, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you 190 mil. I decide not to work with my brother Beasley, and I decide to go work with someone else who's not from the culture. Reason why these brothers are even signing these deals is because there's no one's coming to them with that kind of opportunity. So even back to the Jay-Z point, he couldn't find a deal, so he created his own record label. What we got to do is start using the resources that we have. And I'll tell you one thing, and I'm going to get off this topic though. In the middle of the world, there's a large piece of land, which is the biggest piece of land, and it just happens to be in the middle of the world. And all the natural resources come from there. But here's the thing. Those guys are getting raped with their natural resources, oil, gold, the palladium that's used in the iPhones, whatever it is. They're getting resources because they suffer what they call the resource curse. They don't got the tools or the expertise to use it. I think Garvey was on point when he started talking about some Pan-Africanism. For example, I can make my own liquor. I know how to make liquor, but do I have access to the land where I can make a large amount of liquor, and then ship it and distribute it over here to the market where it's being sold at? No, but the vineyards in Europe do. So he's got it in Europe. He comes to me. He's like, hey, I want you to sell Ciroc. I know all I got to do is step on grapes and put it in water and sell it to you as wine. Land in order to take it to that magnitude. So we got like originally, we got to start linking up with who's got the resources, who's got the market, who's got the time, who's got the energy, put it all together.
Hey, bro, and I'm gonna come full circle with this point. Hey, Alabama, I'm gonna holler at you too, bro. But so you see where the brother just ended up, and this is where Charles V. Hamilton in Stokely Carmichael's book. This is exactly where we should have been about 30 or 40 years ago. The only concept that should be coming out of our mouth right now, political, is Pan-Africanism. So now we just came full circle with this conversation, and we right back to, we had no systematic way of putting the consciousness into our people. That's the only political term that blacks in America should be talking about right now is Pan-Africanism. That's it. Anything else is bullshit.
You want to
say one more thing? Another thing too.
You know what? I'm listening.
Another thing too. We gotta protect our brothers, because too many brothers are stepping up, and we just sitting there watching them get shot and not doing nothing about it. That right there, we gotta stop that. But then let a brother step on your shoe, you quick to go grab a rocket launcher and shoot him. That's something we gotta do. You can't have the money.
One thing, bro, I like what you're saying. I would even go as far as to say, taking the small resources that you can get your hands on. Sometimes, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, in the black community, and we, I'm sure as black businessmen, we can all relate. It's hard to find that brother that lives right around the corner, though, that lives in your neighborhood. They got the same worldview or thinks the same way, even along business lines. Like, it's rare. So when you find that brother, it's cool to work with him. But a lot of times, you might have to, work by yourself or do certain things that may be uncomfortable, like living on 50% of your income. Or, it's even the Bible says, despise not humble beginnings. So I don't have a problem with brothers working together, but sometimes you can't. And when you can't, you have to, black people, we can't, like when you made an analogy a minute ago about a person selling out. Sometimes if I have a black race-based consciousness, I'd rather stay small and own it like Bob Johnson instead of sell it to Viacom and make a lot of money and go jump into other stuff. Sometimes you gotta have, if I got a consciousness, I think a certain way. But if I don't, then it's all about money. When you heard me tonight talk about get money, it was always get money with a purpose. It was never just get money and go to the strip club and go buy women and travel. I was always talking about get money. When I say what I say about Colin Kaepernick, it's always get money with the same purpose that you just painted. If when I hear a brother like you talk, or Michigan or even franchise or my partner Young Set, I'm coming with, well, hey brother, let's get together, let's do something, let's go invest, let's go, that's me. But if I'm all about it, I'm gonna just get money in the hell with everybody else, then
And that's
but
the
that's not my
problem within the
mentality.
black
That's
community.
never been my mentality.
You
Wait,
hit it on the
brother,
head.
listen. That's how the system works. That's not the problem. That's how the system's set up. I was
And
telling you.
it's not just black folks that have that problem. People are out for self.
Yeah, it's set up.
And
It's
it's
set up
hard.
like that. So that way you can keep running. So you can worry about yourself. So it's not just the black community, but it's really set up that way.
Yeah, but the reality, the Bible also says something about charity beginning at home. Since you want to quote the Bible, if you can't look out yourself, nobody else will. I've had
Yeah,
a
but
business.
when you have a functioning culture, but you don't need to have a race-based political consciousness. I mean, you talked about this, Alabama. If you live in a society where
Yeah.
9 out of the 10 grocery stores you're going to go to is owned by a white, then you don't have to intentionally go to a white grocery store. Any motherfucker you pick gonna be white owned. But with us living in another man's culture, then it does require us to have a certain type of political consciousness. So I
Man,
wanted to hear what Beasley was getting ready to say when I made the point of we should be on the Pan-African tip. Was you disagreeing with that?
I'm just looking at the reality of things, man. People have different views and different opinions, and I watch this. I'm a part of a different sector of YouTube, and I'm active in it, and it's a bunch of bullshit and fuckery because I like to laugh and have a good time. And that's real shit. Okay, yeah, I got some jokes in me, and I like to enjoy myself. But I also am self-employed, and I'm good at what I do. I know how to communicate. I know how to earn money, and I haven't always made the best decisions with my money because I'm here for a good time and not a long time. But what you're saying, just take a look at the conscious community or the so-called conscious community that we watch here that proliferated between the brother pro-life, the Sonetters, and all these different groups. They're all hold on, let me finish. They have devolved into all at odds with each other. So many of them have been discovered as being profiteers and charlatans. And it's really sad to watch that happen as a 54-year-old man because they're misleading and profiteering off of young people that mean well. Okay.
So what are you what are you suggesting? I'm trying to.
Oh,
what
no,
are you suggesting
I don't have
that
any,
we shouldn't have a? Oh,
no. I don't have any solutions. I don't know.
Oh, what the fuck, man?
No.
We gotta run those guys off the air.
But
We gotta get those guys off the airways because they have what they call like the spotlight.
Man,
spotlight on him. He could be talking some BS, but if there's no one there to say he's talking BS or show me a hint, everybody's gonna listen to him.
No, you know what?
I stopped listening to you guys because these guys are Facebook builders. They don't really do nothing. They're not like what Sub-Zero is actually telling you, hey, go here, go this, put you onto this. These guys are saying, listen, you can buy my book and do this, and then we can talk.
And donations, and they
understand what you're getting.
And then they end up fighting all amongst each other. And that's kind of what we do. And
but it goes back to the beginning at home. We gotta each individual needs to begin at home and start practicing and what they preaching. But if you believe that, okay, this needs to begin at home and educate your kids about being black, about caring about the black community, and instill it in them, it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. We're not gonna sit here and find a solution overnight, but it begins at home.
You probably
hey brothers, right. We behind enemy lines right now. We got to set up what they call a beach post. It's a military term. When you set up.
Now, hold on. Not only are we behind enemy lines, we're communicating on Google.
Man, listen.
On Google,
I could care less.
I know you can care less, but that's how. We're not
the first brothers. We're not the first brothers to be talking.
No, I know that, but that's how deep the infrastructure is. And maybe because I'm a little bit older, and I've tried some things before, and I failed. And I failed as far as this trying to unite and make money together because all kinds of stuff happened. All kinds of stuff happen. There's envy, there's jealousy, there's distrust. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. It's almost impossible. And I won't say it's impossible because I want to keep hope alive. It's hard to do. And other groups have this problem as well, but I don't know if they have it as bad as black folks because there's no unity. I mean, when you guys talking about Jews and Jews and Jews and Jews, I wanted to make it clear. I'll say it again. It was Harvey Levin, who's a Jew, that revealed that pushed that Donald Sterling story out. It's Adam Silver, who's a Jew, that forced Sterling to put the team.
I mean, but that hurt the NBA brand. I mean, they didn't have a choice.
No, it didn't. You know what? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Let me tell you why.
Yes, it did.
Let me tell you why. That increased the value of all the other teams because of the Clippers.
Once he sold.
Hold on. If the Clippers are worth $2 billion, what are the Lakers worth? It increased everybody's value. It increased.
Brother, that's a game.
So
that's a game right there. That's kind of like.
No, it's a game, and not only. I don't think it hurt their brand. It helped the brand because it looks like they're weeding out old school racists.
I mean, brother, that's the same thing as like what they call it when you go to the hood and they buy your property values. They raise it up so you move you out. Gentrification.
Right.
And another reason why they kind of raise the prices up, just in case if a brother did try to come up to buy it, he would be shut out. Rick Ross tried to buy a team. They say he need a co-signer. You know how many brothers try to buy a team? They raise the property value up. So even if you had an idea about trying to come in, you couldn't even get it.
Well, that's also inflation. That's also
the game. They like, let's raise the property values up so these guys can't buy it. And then on paper,
whoa, that sounds silly. You think property values go?
Could have been a side deal for maybe 500 mil.
Brother,
there's a lot of you don't know the details about, so I wouldn't really go too far into that.
Brother,
but we gotta
hold on. Let me say this real quick. Do you think property values raise, and if it's manipulated, the property values go up, is to exclude black people? Come on, man.
Man, that's called redlining, red taping. Everybody that.
No, that's not what it's called. That's not what redlining is something to do with political districts to stop black people from having or other groups from having political power. Okay, if you honestly think that property values go up to exclude black folks,
okay,
that's just not true.
Let me ask you this then. Let's say I take you got a credit score of 700, and I take another Caucasian brother, same age, same neighborhood, same zip code, credit score 700.
White boy gets it. The white boy gets it. I've been through this. The white dude gets it because the banks do studies and they do studies on demographics. And unfortunately, black folks have a higher chance of defaulting than the whites. The banks are looking for a risk, and there's also laws against them doing that.
It's because when they approve the loan, they're going to charge you higher than they do the next guy. They might charge you 700, might charge him 3.
That's only because you're not astute enough. That's only because you're not astute enough to negotiate a better deal. And that all comes down to because if your folks didn't have money and you get some money,
how you know my folks?
No, I'm not talking about you.
No, I know you're not talking about me, but I'm telling you that first and foremost, the credit system was invented to stop the army guys when they came from the war from buying a house because they had cash. So they had cash, and it was like, you know what? We don't want to sell no black folks no houses. I know you came from the army, you a veteran, but so what? Your credit's not good. That's how the whole credit system got invented in the first place. So its original cause was to exclude you out.
No, that's not. That's not true either. Let me tell you, the credit system it allows people to be consumers and become debt slaves, and you can charge people interest. And the credit system allows you to that $10,000 in order to pay back $10,000 worth of something that's borrowed. You get $25,000.
Beasley, let me say one thing though. Let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
This is the thing, like with credit, man. Like this is the thing. Like, yeah, blacks have been redlined. A lot of bad things have happened to blacks in the past. But to say that blacks can't borrow money or that I'm a living witness. You can borrow money. If you got your paperwork together and you got the income and tax return,
Now you can. Now you can.
Yeah, now
Damn,
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Now in the past, yeah, it's well documented that Fannie Mae and Freddie, when they first came out, was in writing saying they didn't want to give loans to blacks.
Look,
that's what I'm telling you, brother. This brother's thinking like the tables is even out. We're not playing.
I'm not saying they're evened out. I'm not. What I'm saying is this: is that you seem to be under the illusion that everything that happens is happening as a way to exclude black people. That the primary design of everything that's happened is excluding black people. The result is that black people are excluded, but it's not designed exclusively.
Hey Brown, you the last person, man. Hey, what's your name, bro? Hey, bro, what's your name? I know Beasley.
Jane Doe. No, I appreciate your perspective, and
yeah, man. I enjoyed it, man. Come back. Hey, Jane Doe, man. Me and you need to do a hangout. You know, we'll do some different subjects or whatever. I just want to do this one tonight because I had a lot of controversy on that other post that I made. So I appreciate your time. I got to go to work, man. I got a lot of stuff to do. My battery done died on my laptop. I done jumped on my phone, but this was a blessing, man. I enjoyed it. Y'all brothers have a good night, man.
Catch y'all later. Hey, so Michael Vick is coon or not? Is Michael Vick a coon?
I don't know, man. That might just be a media stunt for him to get a check. I don't really know.
Hold on. Let me tell you where Michael Vick was doing some cooning. Is when that